Welcome to another episode of Becoming Limitless. My name is Dr. Elie Rashid, and today I am privileged to have, let me start again with this one. You know, in life, you come across certain individuals that make an impression on you in a special way. Not just because this particular individual takes great care of their health, but also the way he sort of involves himself with people and how generous he is with his time, with his advice, with his support. I'm privileged today to have him with me, and be on top of that, he has just released a form of supplements that I'm really excited about, and you know why in a minute, because it's right up my alley. It's in the area that I work in the most. I want to introduce today David Catudal. Thank you so much for joining me today. And I mean this like in the best way possible. The way you inspire me is not just in the way you handle your health and how involved you are with that and what you've done, but also the way you are so sort of open to sharing about what happened and how you got to where you are. And your life is extremely interesting, not just from an entrepreneurial perspective, but also from, what you were able to achieve throughout your life. There are parts that people will undoubtedly find out what you've done before. We won't talk about that today. And then there's a hint on the table. There's the new supplement that I've just released that I am on right now and loving. And a few other things. So I want to just start with a little bit about, just maybe a couple of minutes about your journeys, just so people understand what impressed me the most about, meeting you and getting to know what you've been through and all of that.
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you for that introduction. That was that was a lot, and I appreciate it. But like you said, my journey, it's not a conventional journey, right? I grew up in a family that, a lot of people have heard my story before, but I grew up in a family that had a lot of cancer. Right, and so my brother had leukemia. He was diagnosed when he was 4 years old, and he fought it for years, for 5 years. Imagine spending much of your childhood in the hospitals. That was really rough. And after he was cured, he's fine now. He's a celebrity trainer. He took over my training business when I left LA. And but after he was cured, my father, who was like literally the healthiest man I've ever met in my life, never smoked in his life, never drank in his life. Had a high intense corporate job, but he took his lunch hours and he worked out. Like he was jacked. And we lived a very natural lifestyle, but he was diagnosed with non-smoking lung cancer, adenocarcinoma, and that spread to his brain, and he passed away within a year. It was very rough, like very intense, very abrupt. And so he passed away when he was only 46, and I was 17 at the time. And then several years later, I got cancer when I was 23 years old, testicular cancer. So, when that happens in your immediate family, it changes you.
Of course.
In our case, in a positive way, I can say these challenges, made it just so we became, my entire family, if you look at a family photo, like we're all in very good shape now, right?
Yeah.
Because we all value our health. We know that health is everything at the end of the day, and health is not just physical health, it's mental and emotional as well. And so, through our challenges, we became strong in that department because we valued that thing that can be taken away from us and that thing that we have control over.
Right.
And that, so I became a personal trainer at age 18, nutritionist at age 19. And when I got cancer at 23, I was a little bit reckless, 23-year-old. But I knew so much I felt like I knew so much about nutrition at that point. Of course, my goodness, I've continued learning much more since then. But I understood, the power of like your cellular health and how the inflammation response works in your body. And so I was able to really, biohack my way to being able to avoid chemo and radiation. That was a choice, and then again, that may have been a reckless choice, but that was my choice.
Right.
And after the successful surgery, I just fortified my system and I was like making my own supplements back then. I was mixing these adaptogens with, I was taking peptides back in the day in 2002. My goodness. And so all this to say is, it taught me to take my health into my own control.
Right.
And it taught me the value of experimentation, because we don't know until we try. And you can read all the books, and you can, until you really try it for yourself, you can't really say anything with any type of, real experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that allowed me to be very effective at helping others find their own sense of self-control with, or I should say empowerment, with feeling like they're in control of their health and their well-being.
Right.
So that has been my path, is just, right now, and for the past 20 years, all I want to do is teach people that you can be in control of your health. You can be in control of your emotional health and everything from self-love to discipline. But you have to be very, very structured. Like you almost have to be obsessed.
Disciplined.
Yeah, discipline. That's the best word. And I try as best as I can to educate and to teach that. But at the end of the day, it's up to you as an individual.
And you don't do it like with an overpowering thing. It's just generally most people just come and ask you, right? It's
Yeah.
not like you're in your face like stop doing that, or it's quite the opposite, right?
Yes, yeah. I don't want to tell people what to do, because at the end of the day, I can only tell you what I've seen work for me,
right,
and what I've seen work for clients. That I can say with confidence.
Yes.
I'm an expert in nothing except for in discovering what works for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it.
I think in this space in general, my mantra is that I don't know what I don't know, and I focus on that quite a bit.
That's important.
Because you can get jaded. Like if you know a few things that other people perhaps don't know, you think, oh my God, like I'm superior of some form. You are not.
Nope.
There's always. And when you spoke about nutrition, that was the same with me. Is that as you get into that, like the more you know, the more you realize there's so much more to know.
There's so much more to learn.
It's always, and then it differs, and so many variables, and so many inputs, and so many different, depending where you are with your age, with your environment, with
Absolutely.
What's happening with the rest of your body, etc. So, and that's, I think this is why I think from my side at least, I was so impressed with just being in your presence and how our relationship was built. I think the best journeys in general when it comes to wellness happens when there's an adversity in life, right?
Absolutely.
And for me it's somewhat similar to yours. So we have lots of cancer in our family and things like that, but it happened to me as part of a survival mode. I didn't know it at the time, being in Lebanon and all of that was happening. So when I went into the sort of launched myself into fitness and just taking care of my health in general, I didn't know I was going down that path, and then you get these checkpoints throughout life that kind of propel you forward even more. And with that, even the worst moments in life, they're for you. You don't know how they're going to impact you to become a better person, to impact others, to all of that. Yeah. And you do that so well, Dave. And this is with all, with my heart. And you know me, I'm a straight shooter.
Yes.
And it's not just that though. You also put it in practice. It's not just the celebrities that you coached, the career that you had back in LA, and then you came here and you took the space here by storm too, and then you just opened your other company. And part of the show, as I was explaining before we started, there's also about trying to encourage people to get into the entrepreneurial spirit when it comes to wellness space. Because this area here for us is all about the space, we're leading it. I feel,
absolutely,
that this part of the world,
no question.
The innovation, the support, the community is so massive. I think people don't realize that. And I think that was part of your choice why you wanted to set this up here. We're talking now about Forest, obviously, the new recovery. And speaking of recovery, you're now in one of your favorite devices, right?
Best podcast ever. I'm just hanging out here with my parasympathetic mode.
I love it. So Forest is a recovery brand, right?
Absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about it. I mean, I know all about it, obviously, but just tell us a little bit.
Well, I'll start by what you were mentioning about like the region. We are leading the way, I think when I first came to Dubai, and I immediately saw the community element of the lifestyle here, right? So I was warned about Dubai being like a drinking lifestyle and a party lifestyle. Now I'm asleep at 9:30, right? So there's this part of Dubai I don't even see. Right? I don't even know that part exists.
Right.
But the daytime Dubai is, and UAE I should say, is the most wellness minded and and community-oriented place that I've ever lived, and I've lived in a lot of different countries.
Right.
And that's what attracted me immediately. As I saw, like, wow, people are getting together on like a Monday, on a Tuesday, on a Wednesday, and whether it's a run club or whether it's like a biohacking seminar or whatever it is, people are like really wanting to come together and share what they're learning as well. So whereas when you start a business, most people look at everything as competitors, right? Everything's a competitor. In UAE, I found that this is a very it's collaboration before competition.
Right.
So people aren't thinking like, oh, who's my competitor? They're thinking, who can I collaborate with?
Right.
And that mindset right there makes the vibe completely different.
100%.
Right? Instead of who's my competitor, who's out there, how am I going to be better? It's who can I collaborate with to expand my mission?
Yeah.
And with that mindset, I think we'll continue to lead this region. This region will continue to lead because it's just unique in the world.
Right.
And I don't know how we got here.
Right.
I don't know how this has attracted such collaborative mindset, but it really nurtures that here.
And anyone who's out of that actually don't last here, So they immediately get a good sort of they're singled out, if you like. So if someone is not genuine, if someone is only after their own thing, they're immediately kind of like pushed out.
Well, they push themselves out.
Exactly, that's what I meant. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Like you see, it's like it's a vibe mismatch, right? And so the people who say like, "Oh, Dubai didn't work out for me," you were probably being a little too selfish. You probably weren't thinking collaboratively, and then it's not going to work out for you because hey, this is a community.
Exactly.
So no, I love that. That's it's an important insight for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly attracts certain type of people that are looking to do something different, to innovate, to make a difference, to be involved. And to be generous with their own advice and time and other stuff like that, because how here it's not the easiest place to live, right?
It's not.
And I don't think any place that is worth living in should be easy. That's my opinion.
No, I agree with that. So that's a business mindset, right? So it's competitive, right?
Right.
So if you don't bring your A game here, you're gonna feel like this is a struggle.
Yeah, absolutely.
Going into forest now and going into like you need to show up here every day like in your peak state, and you need to really harness that inner high performer because you're surrounded by people who are in that mindset, but that's your opportunity to elevate, right? So if you feel like, oh my gosh, everyone's so intense here, that's good. That's you never want to be the smartest person in the room, right? If you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Right.
You need to surround yourself with other people that are motivating you and inspiring you.
Correct.
And I think that this city personifies that.
Yeah.
And that brings us to Forest, why we created Forest. So, my co-founder and I, we met way back in the day when I had my other supplement brand, about 5 years ago. And fast forward to where we are today, about a year ago, we got together and we he's very well established in supplement distribution. He knows the area. I think he's been living here for 25 years.
I've been trying to get him on the podcast forever. He doesn't.
We'll
he doesn't like that.
Yeah. But he's a great speaker.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So and he's got so much to share as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's a wealth of information.
Absolutely.
So we got together and we thought, all right, what if we could bring a product to market? What would we bring to market that we know can help the biggest range of people, from beginners to elites? Like what is elite athletes, high performers, entrepreneurs, the top in their class. What products can we bring that they're missing and that would really change the game for the widest variety of people? And the answer, and this is where we align so well, is everyone's focusing on output. Everyone's focusing on how much they can accomplish, or how much they can, how hard they can push themselves. How much can I exert myself? My next PB, But very few people, and this is changing, which we're happy about, but very few people at the core are focusing on their recovery, right? And you can only perform as hard as you recover, right?
100%.
And I think that, and I've learned that the hard way from almost kind of burning out or just feeling like just, oh my gosh, I'm pushing myself physically, I'm pushing myself mentally, everything's intense, and then I'm trying to layer more intensity on that, and you're like, I don't have much more intensity left. So you need to fill the tank, right? You need to recharge the batteries. Hence sitting here in my absolute favorite, I'll call it a biohack, because this for me is so much more than just the legs. This is my brain, right?
I know,
this gets me
everywhere.
Oof, this is powerful. So recovery, doing this, recharges everything and allows you to put the physical and mental output back into your days.
Yeah.
So without the recovery, you're missing a huge opportunity for output. And that's what we developed. We developed a supplement brand that focuses on a day-night combo.
Yeah.
So you have your recovery for the daytime, which is
healing
gut health, modulating inflammation, making sure that the damage of modern day life, which we also are subjected to, is minimized.
Right.
And then our night supplement is REM Plus. It's a sleep supplement, but I like to actually call it like an overnight recovery supplement because it's not a knockout sleeping pill.
Yeah, that's really important to point out. It does not help with sleep. It just optimizes sleep. And this is what I love most about it.
Well, we have found most people are actually sleeping better, but it's because their nervous system is now
That's what I mean,
right?
But it's not a sleep
It's not going to
aid.
sedate you. It's not going to sedate you. Exactly. The result has been incredible because people are waking up the next day and they're like, I feel so good, but I'm still only sleeping, let's say 6.5 hours. But those 6.5 hours, you're spending almost twice as much time in your deep sleep, slow wave sleep cycles. You're spending more time in REM. So your REM is when your emotional, body regenerates, and deep sleep is when your physical body regenerates.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so for the first time, these people are experiencing what real overnight recovery feels like, and what real daytime recovery protection feels like. And that's like a 24-hour system. So for us is essentially 2 supplements that provide day-night regeneration, and we couldn't be happier with the way.
And what I love about it most, though, is that you can easily stack it with whatever you're taking.
Absolutely.
So most other brands that are coming out now, the one-stop sort of thing, like the new modern
25 supplements in one.
Exactly, the new modern sort of multi-supplement approach, or either like a longevity whatever, or this or whatever. You can't take it with something else, and people are not educated with that. They think that this is just on top of whatever. It may have, I don't know, something as simple as vitamin C, or it could be something a little bit more like an antihistamine, like quercetin or whatever it is, and then you're taking something, and then you don't know how much. So people don't read the labels still, right? I love about this is that you can just take it with whatever you're taking. It will not affect anything at all.
Exactly.
It just makes it focuses on one particular area, which is what you were saying,
the gut health
and what I always call adaptation. You need to adapt in order for you to continue to achieve it. And then the other thing that people generally miss is not just for athletes, right? Adaptation is not just for athletes. It's even for the regular guy that works, 12, 14 hours a day, that perhaps smokes, I want to say, perhaps drinks, I don't know, and your body is not getting enough time to recover. So recovery is fundamentally essential for everyone, no matter who you are, right? So, and that's why as you know, I went into this, years ago.
Exactly.
So, the what Restore does is exactly that, everything, and that's why it so resonates with me. And I think, months and months ago when we talked about it at the beginning, I was thinking, wow, Dave again just hit the nail on the head. And since then, we're trying to develop this a little bit more, and I've been trying to find ways in order to see how else I can implement this in everything that I do.
I love that. Thank you.
And we got our first batch, by the way, this week, and it's almost sold out in like 2 days.
That's
so it's
like
so cool.
No,
it's so cool. Like people value the proposition, and I think as people get more educated about their recovery routine and what they should be doing, this is going to come in handy.
So that I'm glad you touched on that, because that's an area that I'd love to collaborate as well. And what for us, so where are we going from here? We know we have industry leading formulas. We know that we've validated it, and the results are speaking for themselves. What we really want to do now, and again, this comes back to what you observed, is the community element. We as educators, myself and my co-founder, all we want to do is teach, right? We want to share what we've learned, because I'm 44 this year, and I have more energy than when I was in my 20s. I have better cognitive function. Like I just feel sharper and better than ever. So I'm not aging and declining. I'm actually improving. Now, that's not unique to me. This is what happens when you have your system, when you've done your experimentation over a course of time, and you've learned from some of the best people in the industry.
It's just science, right?
That's it. You've put together a protocol that works for you, and you are literally improving year on year rather than degenerative, right? And I want the world to know about this, right? And it's not just one supplement. Of course, as you know, it's a lifestyle.
100%.
It really is.
Yeah, I want to make sure that's actually we emphasize this, because the whole space is run by marketers. It's all about this is all you need. This is what it doesn't work that way. We know, you and I know very well. Also, Hadi knows that this is exactly what it is. It's a well-rounded everything.
That's it.
Your relationship with your partner is just as important to your health as the amount of time you spend outdoors, to
Love it.
what movement you make. Like everything needs to. So it's not as simple as just taking this amazing particular supplement and I'm doing what I need. You know how much hard work we put into this.
Yes.
I mean, I'm 10 years older than you, and I feel the same.
Amazing.
I feel the same. But I'm not special though. I'm not doing anything that people don't have access to.
Right. Exactly.
We all do.
Yes.
It's just a matter of priority.
Exactly.
And a matter of where you are in your life, right?
Right. And you don't have to be perfect in every area. You just have to be aware of every area, and you have to, and the awareness is the key. Is like if there's an area in your life, like let's call them pillars, right? Yeah. So let's call one pillar emotional, one pillar is like the physical activity, one pillar is professional, right? And the other pillar is like love, like partner and self-love. You don't have to be perfect in all of them, but you have to be aware that each one is affecting the other, right? Most people will focus on maybe two, right? They're like, okay, professional life and what maybe home life, and then or physical life, and then they're leaving out two major components of this whole optimization piece of the puzzle, right? And so the awareness is so important, and that's why again with our brand and with people like yourself you're not just talking about the physical recovery, you're always talking about the emotions. And I love that you touched on like the partner thing. Is if you walk into a home where it's not a loving environment, whether that's self-love or whether that's partner love, it's like that is putting your nervous system in fight or flight mode.
Always.
Right? You're going to be in sympathetic activation. It means you're going to be in defense mode rather than regenerate mode. So we have to be really aware of all these pillars. And I would love as a brand for us to bring that forward as well. And through people like yourself is like education and awareness that let's look at all these pillars and let's not focus on perfection, but let's focus on just being aware that each one affects the other. That's super important.
I completely agree, and I think you'll agree with my next thing. It's overwhelming for people to think about all of this, right?
Yes.
It does not have to be that way, right?
Right.
So with all this information being thrown at us all the time from all sorts of people, most of it is silliness, as I was saying, it's done by marketers, it's done by, that's okay. It's all part of the experience, right? But it's not as difficult as you think.
Right.
Awareness is the number one thing.
That's it.
The moment you are aware, things starts to change. You know?
Yes.
And this is true in almost every aspect of life, no matter what you're doing.
Absolutely.
If you're aware there's an issue at your business, it starts to become better. You know, you find ways to make it better.
That's it.
And the same applies to everything else.
Yes.
So what I really working hard on making sure that this message is out as far as try not to get overwhelmed with all the information. Just take a step back and just say, it's a system. That system
it is.
Needs my attention completely. Don't just say, but I'm taking care of my guts, or I'm doing. Don't forget mental health. Don't forget, but they're all just one system. And the moment you start to have that awareness, it will come together. Don't overwhelm yourself.
Exactly. Yes. Exactly.
And I see people on groups. I see people on in gatherings and whatever. And it's always it's always this obsession about how much of this should I be taking? Am I missing out with that? Is it this? That is also doing the same thing, right? On your nervous system.
True.
And to be honest, I mean, I find myself sometimes in that stuff. And then you're aware and you step back, right?
Exactly.
It's such an important point because I think all of us are a little overwhelmed with the amount
overstimulated.
And overstimulated for sure.
Exactly. In this era of technology, it's overload, right? But that's not going to change, right? The overload is going to come, so we have to deal with the overload.
Exactly.
We have to, and that's why we have to put systems into place, and we have to focus more on the big things that are going to move the needle and the fundamental things rather than all the little distractions that could, set us off.
100%. You and I can talk about this forever, but I would say just the number one is just prioritize your health. If you do that, like truly prioritize your health, you know, because the other thing that I'm seeing now over and over again, because as you know, we work with diagnostics first, and then we try to follow up with whatever we can after that. is that when I ask people to say, you know, if someone's asking me about peptide or asking me about this or anything at all,
Right.
I say, well, have you tested yourself? Well, not in whatever. You should test yourself.
there.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't really want to know.
Yeah.
But if you have that, that means you're still not prioritizing your health.
You're not
you know?
really,
So it's awareness that makes a change, and for you to be aware, you need to be tested. This is where science comes in.
That's a good point. That's more along the line of like, just do it right.
Yeah.
Like if you're going to do it, because you're going to put in an effort. If you do something and you don't succeed with it, you're probably still going to put in a lot of effort and frustration.
100%.
You might as well do it, the proper way.
Yeah.
Start with you can't change what you don't know, right?
100%.
And that's what I love about like these wearables and all these different technologies.
Yeah.
It's like for the first time, like I didn't know. I had a suspicion that my resting heart rate was, because I've done blood pressure tests, of course. I give blood every couple of months because of my, because from cancer I take testosterone.
Right.
And these insights are the only way you can say, oh wow, that's elevated, or that and then you can say, okay, because of that, I need to do this.
You adjust it, yeah.
You adjust, and if you can't measure it, you can't change it.
100%.
Right.
100%. Yeah. So I'm hoping that people will actually be sort of get comfortable with the fact that I need to know what is happening within my body. And this is, technology has come such a long way. Testing is almost instant now. There's so much to know about what's happening within, so you're able to adjust rather than if I don't know about it, it doesn't exist type situation. And I think in a way, this may have been perpetuated by the way we've lived our lives in the last few decades, as far as, we have insurance. We can go to an emergency when we need to.
That's true. Yeah. Good point.
We can take a pharmaceutical when necessary.
Right.
We see the doctor if there's pain. So when it happens, we'll deal with it in that system rather than, so hopefully that is changing quite a bit and continues to do so.
That's an interesting point, because that's like, we used to, as a society, and I grew up this way as well, because it was just the way it was, we would outsource that part of our health, right? We'd say, okay, I'm not feeling well, let's go to a doctor. Now with all this information, we've realized that, hey, we actually have a lot more control over that.
100%.
And that's where self-experimentation comes in. Of course, informed self-experimentation.
100%.
But I feel like where we are with society right now with wellness is actually a good place. I feel like people are more inclined to take it into their own hands before outsourcing it. It's a shift. Not everyone's there, and it's going to take time, but there is a positive shift where more people are saying, look, I'm going to do the research first. Instead of just going into a doctor or a hospital and saying, hey, what's wrong with me? Give me a pill. It's more like, okay, and because of all this data points, we're able to make more informed decisions. Yes, it's a little bit information overload. Yes, it's a little overwhelming. Yes, that could be a distraction. But at the same time, if you do the right things with that information, you can really feel empowered to make a change in your health.
And I'm constantly reminded, and especially recently, I've had a couple of people that I'm working with late in their 70s, and the stuff they go through, Dave, is just heartbreaking. And it only strengthened my resolve into not just my own health, but everyone around me. The stuff that, I'm going to be a little graphic, but he goes to the bathroom and he can't get up anymore. Someone his daughter has to come in to lift him up. Can you imagine, so as human beings, we are glorious, but the way we age, it's unfathomable for me that we let that happen to ourselves, with all of the stuff that we're capable of doing. Anyway, as I said, we could do this forever, and hopefully we'll do it again.
Please.
And I look forward to seeing where Forest is going to end up. I think it's going to dominate the market, and I'm with you every step of the way.
Appreciate that. Great conversation.
Thank you so much.
Looking forward to the next one.
Thank you so much. Thanks, guys, for this. I hope you enjoy this, and we'll see you in our next one.